All right, today we are diving into something we all do, but let's be honest, we often get it completely wrong, and that's learning. We're going to be using the incredible book Make It Stick to figure out why so much of what feels right when we study is actually just wasted time. Okay, be honest. Have you ever done this? You pull an all-nighter, you're cramming for a huge exam. You've got your highlighters out, you're rereading your notes over and over. You feel like you've really put in the hours. And then test day comes and nothing. Your mind is a complete blank. It is one of the most frustrating feelings, and pretty much everyone's been there. You know, the book kicks off with this exact scenario. It tells the story of this student who was just totally distraught. He did everything he was supposed to do, right? Went to all the lectures, highlighted the textbook, reviewed his notes, and he still got a D. And his story just perfectly sets up the core problem here. Our gut feelings, our intuitions about how to learn are often just dead wrong. And that brings us to our first huge, kind of counterintuitive idea, the learning illusion. We're about to see exactly why the study methods that feel the most productive are usually the least effective in the long run. Yeah, you heard that right. So this all comes down to a really important concept called the illusion of mastery. What is that? Well, it's that warm, fuzzy feeling you get when you reread a chapter for the third time. The words start to look really familiar, the ideas seem super obvious, and you think to yourself, yep, got it, I know this stuff. But it's a total trap. That feeling of fluency isn't the same as actual knowledge. It's a failure of what scientists call metacognition, which is really just a fancy way of saying knowing what you know. And it turns out we're not very good at it. Just look at this chart. It lays it all out so clearly. On the left, you've got all our favorite go-to habits: rereading, highlighting, cramming one topic at a time. Why do we do them? Because they feel productive. They're easy, they give us that illusion of mastery we just talked about. But look at the right side. Active recall, spacing things out, mixing up topics. These things are hard, they're effortful. And here's the kicker. That effort is exactly what forges strong, durable memories. And this quote from the book just hits the nail on the head. Learning that's easy is like writing in sand. Here today and gone tomorrow. If there's one thing you remember from this, let it be that. If your study session feels comfortable and easy, it's probably not sticking. The struggle, the effort, that's the good stuff.
Okay, so if the easy way is like writing in sand, how do we start carving our knowledge into stone? Well, that's where we get practical. We're going to open up the Effortful Toolkit, a set of powerhouse strategies all backed by science to create learning that actually lasts.
This toolkit really has 4 main tools. First, you've got retrieval practice. That's all about pulling info out of your brain, not just cramming it in. Then there's space practice, where you actually let yourself forget a little bit. Believe it or not, that's a good thing. Third is interleaving, which is just mixing up different subjects or skills. And finally, generation, trying to solve a problem before you're shown how. We're going to dig into a couple of the biggest ones now.
But if there is one MVP, one strategy that stands head and shoulders above the rest, it is absolutely this one: retrieval practice. It is the single most powerful tool in the entire learning toolkit. The simple act of pulling information out of your own memory, it's like doing a bicep curl for your brain. It strengthens the memory every single time. So just how big of a deal is it? Check out this number, 50%. A study in 2010 took 2 groups of students. Group 1 just reread a text. Group 2 read it once, but then took a simple, low-stakes quiz on it. A week later, who remembered more? The quiz group. They remembered an incredible 50% more material. That is not a small difference. That is a massive, game-changing improvement from one tiny shift in strategy. And this chart, it just drives the point home for the long term. This is based on a classic study from way back in 1978, and it is mind-blowing. After only 2 days, the students who crammed had already forgotten half of what they'd learned. Gone. But the group that used retrieval practice, they'd only forgotten about 13%. That effort of recalling something literally acts like a vaccine against forgetting. Okay, let's talk about another one of these power tools, interleaving. And the best way to get it is this baseball analogy. So imagine you're a batter. Blocked practice is when the pitching machine throws you 15 curveballs in a row. You're going to get really good, really fast at hitting that specific curveball. But a real game isn't like that, is it? Interleaved practice is when you get a random mix of pitches, a curveball, then a fastball, then a slider. It feels way harder. Your progress feels slower. But what are you actually building? You're building the real skill of being able to hit whatever the pitcher throws at you. That's true mastery. All right, it's time to tackle one of the most stubborn, widespread myths in the entire world of education. Let's talk about learning styles and why you should probably forget about them. So let me ask you, what's your style? Are you a visual learner, an auditory learner? Maybe you're a kinesthetic learner who has to learn by doing. We all love to categorize ourselves like this, right? It makes us feel like we have a handle on how our brain works. Well, here's the scientific reality check. The idea that you learn better when someone teaches to your preferred style, it's just not supported by the evidence. A huge scientific review in 2008 looked for proof and found basically nothing. The truth is, we are all a mix of these things. We learn best when we engage all of our senses. Sticking to just one style isn't playing to your strengths, it's just handicapping yourself. So if learning styles aren't the answer, what is? The book suggests a much more useful concept called structure building. This is the real skill. It's your ability to listen to or read new information, pull out the most important ideas, and then build a mental model, a coherent framework of how all those pieces connect. See, it's not about how the information gets in, it's about what your brain does with it once it's there. Which brings us to our final and honestly, maybe the most powerful section of all. It's all about mindset. And it's this incredibly liberating idea that your intelligence, it isn't fixed. You can actually grow your own abilities. This quote right here captures the very heart of what we call neuroplasticity. And listen, this isn't just some feel-good motivational poster stuff. It's real biology. Every single time you learn something new, especially when it's hard, you are physically changing the structure of your brain. You're literally building new connections. Your brain isn't a fixed object. It's a dynamic, living thing that is constantly being remodeled by your own effort. And this leads us straight to the groundbreaking work of psychologist Carol Dweck and her research on two very different mindsets. On one side, you have the fixed mindset. This is the belief that your intelligence is just a trait you were born with, like your eye color. So you avoid challenges because if you fail, it feels like a final judgment on your permanent ability. But on the other side, you have the growth mindset. This is the understanding that effort literally makes you smarter. So you seek out challenges. You see failure not as a verdict, but as valuable information, a clue on the path to getting better. So let's put it all together. The science is crystal clear. Your brain is not set in stone. The effort you put into learning, using tools like retrieval and spacing and interleaving, that effort physically rewires your brain and expands what you're capable of. So the only real question left is, what are you going to build with yours?